An ugly old couple suddenly wakes up in mourning, and find themselves as young as their 20s while everyone in awe to see their charm and strength. The anime begins with an elderly man Shozo Saito asking his wife Ine Saito what they would do if they were young again. Shozo reminisces about how they couldn't afford a honeymoon when they married, but Ine insists she was just happy to be with him. They visit the apple tree they planted 60 years ago to celebrate their wedding. Though damaged by a typhoon, the tree survived and bore a golden apple. That night Shozo sees himself young in the mirror and excitedly calls Ine, who has also become young. Thrilled, Shozo decides it's finally time to take the honeymoon they never had. Their granddaughter Mino visits and is shocked but quickly embraces the change, even admiring her grandpa's long hair. At a cricket game, Shozo and Ine's friends are surprised by their youthful energy. Shozo impresses with his cricket skills, while Ine charms everyone with her tea serving. Days earlier, Shozo had argued with his son Yoshiaki, who wanted them to move in with him due to their age, but Shozo had insisted on staying in their ancestral home. Ine reassured her daughter-in-law Kaide that as long as she was with Shozo she was happy. When Kaide visits with ingredients, she is stunned to see young Shozo and leaves blushing. Later, Yoshiaki finally understands what Mino meant about their transformation. Mino enjoys her grandpa's kindness and invents a playful game called Grandpa Barrier, which makes everyone laugh, though Kaide insists it's inappropriate. When Ine notices Yoshiaki looking exhausted from work, she gently pats his head, reminding him of his childhood. Even Mino wants the same affection, making the moment heartwarming. As a big sports event between two towns approaches, Shozo's transformation boosts his town's morale. Their team has mostly older players, is worried about facing the other town's young stars like Shota and Dai Igarashi. Shozo's strength and skill rejuvenate their hopes, and he leads his team to victory. Shozo and Ine's teamwork Ine's, securing win after win. However, Grandpa Igarashi, who once had feelings for Ine, feels bitter watching Shozo steal the spotlight again. Ine decides to visit the Igarashi family with lunch, sparking nostalgic conversations. Ine even reveals that Grandpa Igarashi once confessed his feelings for her, surprising his grandkids. The next day, Grandpa Igarashi sends Shota to deliver a thank you gift. Shota nervously visits Ine's house where Mino cheerfully invites him in. Though shy, Shota finds Shozo kind but feels overwhelmed by Ine and Kaide's curiosity. Mino praises Shota's qualities, prompting Ine and Kaide to quietly speculate if he would be a good match for her. Later, Mino learns that Ine was the one who first confessed to Shozo, defying societal norms of their time. Shozo's father had wanted him to marry someone else for tradition's sake, but after a heated confrontation, Shozo and Ine chose love. Inspired, Mino reenacts Ine's bold confrontation with Shozo's arranged match, further admiring her grandma's courage and coolness. Their family's bond deepens, celebrating love and resilience across generations. Two schoolboys chat about how farming isn't cool and dream of moving to Tokyo for money and girlfriends. Their perspective shifts when they see Ine, who is surprisingly young and warm. Unlike the old lady they expected, Ine greets them, making them blush, and then Shozo arrives in his minivan to pick her up, greeting the boys as well. Suddenly, farming doesn't seem so uncool. Shozo remembers Ine once admiring a dress in a flyer but being too shy to ask for it. Now he surprises her with the dress, and she gives him a cute hug from behind to thank him. That evening they watch a romance show recommended by Mino. Shozo finds the kissing scene excessive, but Ine shyly asks him to try a kabedon, a dramatic wall pin move she never experienced when they were younger. Shozo obliges, and while Ine jokes that it's no big deal after 50 years together, her heart secretly races. Later, Ine's old friend Kacha visits. Mino struggles with Kacha's thick accent, but Ine chats with ease. Kacha jokes about Mino marrying his grandson, but Ine protectively hugs her granddaughter, saying she's not ready to let her go. Mino playfully asks if she can marry Ine instead, making everyone laugh. That night, Shirori, another granddaughter, stays over after a fight with her dad, who wants her to go into medic. Ine, though she's struggling, Ine comforts her, assuring her she'll always be cherished. Ine recalls how Shozo supported her through sickness, imagining wearing a swimsuit for him now that she's young again. Feeling shy, she wonders what swimsuit he'd like but excuses herself when Shirori encourages her to embrace her beauty. Later, Ine receives a call from someone pretending to be her son Yoshiaki, asking for money. Recognizing the scam, Ine humorously plays along and records the call. The next day they see the scammer's arrest on the news, and Ine laughs, noting that suspicious calls often come at 6. Realizing she no longer needs glasses, Ine reads a newspaper aloud at Mino's request, choosing words that praise Shozo, making them both blush. Ine turns the teasing back on Mino, who says something equally embarrassing. While watching TV, Mino asks if Ine and Shozo ever held hands. Ine says they didn't do it for show, and Shozo adds that as they got older it was more about helping each other walk. Later, while shopping for vegetables, Ine hints at holding hands, but Shozo, shy about Mino seeing, hesitates. Finally, Ine grabs his hand, smiling at his awkwardness. They visit their son Takahiro's clinic and reveal they've turned young. Shocked, Takahiro runs tests and confirms it. Overwhelmed, he recalls becoming a doctor to save Ine from liver cancer and feels joy seeing her healthy again. Flashbacks show Shozo and Ine planting an anniversary tree, damaged years later by a typhoon but nurtured back to health. The tree bore a golden apple which Ine shared with Shozo. Feeling it symbolized something profound, Ine dreamed of the tree turning to dust and an hourglass resetting her age. Now on their 58th anniversary, Shozo surprises Ine with a cake. They blush and enjoy it together, grateful to be young and in love again. Shozo tells Ine he started working on the farm after elementary school and doesn't remember much about studying. Ine shares her memories of attending a girls' school in Tokyo, where endless white rice and running water felt like a dream. However, the war forced her family to return to the countryside, which felt like punishment because of the mud. Meeting Shozo made those tough times bearable. Shozo grows curious about Ine's Tokyo life, but she decides to keep some stories a secret. Later they sit with Shiori, who introduces them to a video game console meant to help prevent dementia. Shozo is surprised it involves a zombie game. Though Shiori doubts they can handle it, they quickly adapt, headshotting zombies to minimize their suffering. After days of playing, they complete the game. When Mino visits, she rushes to hug Shiori, but Shiori coldly pushes her away, revealing a strained relationship. Hurt, Mino reminds Shiori how much she loves her grandparents. Shiori admits she acts out of obligation, not love, which Shozo overhears, leaving him heartbroken. Pressured by Mino, Shiori apologizes, confessing she truly loves her grandparents. That night, Shozo dreams of the magical hourglass, a recurring vision since regaining his youth. In his dream, he accidentally tips it over and wakes up old again. Fearing Ine might not love him as much now, Shozo is reassured when she tells him she loves him no matter his age. Shozo realizes aging is just another part of their life together. They visit Takahiro's clinic, where he warns them to avoid overexertion due to signs of kidney and liver aging. Takahiro is concerned about Ine's youthful body and the effects if her aging suddenly accelerates. Ine expresses no fear of death but worries about outliving Shozo and their sons. Despite these concerns, Shozo's energy is undiminished. He arm wrestles Yoshiaki, who promises a room with an outdoor bath for their honeymoon if Shozo wins. Fired up, Shozo triumphs in several rounds. At the market, Shozo feels awkward about looking much older than Ine. He tells an employee they are shopping with their granddaughter, but Ine corrects him, proudly declaring herself his wife. She explains she wants the world to know the truth. Apologizing, Shozo lightens the mood by pointing out sweets they used to enjoy. Ine secretly eats the sweets later, only for Shozo to catch her. Embarrassed, Ine is comforted when Shozo says seeing her happy is the best medicine for him. Ine opens up about her tough past, losing her parents and living with distant relatives who mocked her Tokyo accent. She felt isolated until Shozo approached her at a shrine, offering food without judgment. Over time, his kindness won her heart. In the present, Ine tells Shozo he has completely won her over through the years. That night, Shozo dreams of the hourglass again and notices sand leaking out. He deduces that turning the hourglass restores youth. When he wakes up young again, Ine is calm. They discuss their uncertain future, knowing the hourglass will eventually run out. Shozo reassures Ine he will never leave her, and they embrace, secure in their love. Two boys flip through a sports car magazine, complaining about the lack of cool cars in their countryside town. They meet Ine, who kindly asks them to take a detour the next day because the farm will be sprayed with chemicals. Charmed by her kindness, they thank her. Just then, Shozo drives by in a sprayer tractor resembling a sports car, and the boys joke that maybe the countryside does have cool cars after all. Later, Shota asks Shozo to help clear out his grandpa's storehouse. Although Grandpa Igarashi isn't thrilled to see Shozo, he accepts the help. The storehouse is packed with family antiques, but Grandpa plans to throw them away. While sorting, Shota finds a nagamochi, a traditional trunk with the family crest, which reminds Grandpa of his late wife, moving him to tears. Outside, Shota contacts someone who might care for the cleared antiques. Shozo asks Grandpa about his plans for the storehouse, and Grandpa reveals he intends to demolish it since no one can maintain it. Shota and Shozo have a heartfelt conversation about Shota's dreams. Shota confesses he wants to move to Tokyo to become a professional soccer player but feels guilty leaving the farm that raised him. Overhearing this, Grandpa cancels the demolition, touched by Shota's thoughtfulness. Meanwhile, Shiori regrets telling Shozo he couldn't tutor her since he didn't finish high school. She's surprised to find him studying textbooks at the library and remembers Ine once mentioned family issues prevented him from continuing his education. Inspired, Shiori studies harder and thanks Shozo after placing 9th in her midterms, leaving him confused. Later, Mino overhears friends admiring Ine and Shozo as a couple. Embarrassed, Mino denies knowing them and rushes off. She studies with Shota and asks if he's done anything kind for Shozo since Shozo often praises him. Shota denies it, but Mino comments on how wonderful Shozo and Ine's marriage seems. Mino invites Shozo and Ine to her school's cultural festival. Initially, Shozo declines due to a scheduling mistake but later realizes he's free and invites Ine. At the festival, they enjoy the events until a student spills a drink on Ine. The fashion design club offers her a uniform which suits her perfectly. Shozo recalls Ine's love for music and regrets missing her performances. In playful banter, they pretend to be high school students. Shozo teases Ine about crushes, and her teasing about his lack of charm makes them laugh. Later, they visit the history section, where Ine spots classmates in old photos. Shozo reflects on leaving school to become a farmer, grateful as it led him to Ine. The sweet moment is captured by students. That night, Ine dreams of the hourglass again and accidentally breaks it. Shozo wakes up to find himself old once more, stunned to see Ine, who's now in her 20s with no memory of him. In an effort to understand Ine's memory loss, Shozo sits down with her. Ine explains that she woke up in a world nearly a century ahead of what she remembers. Noticing her wedding ring, she believes Shozo is her husband. Curious about their past, she asks if she proposed to him, and Shozo confirms, surprising her. Ine suggests Shozo try making her fall in love with him again to restore their normal life. Shozo begins by introducing Ine to modern conveniences like a rice cooker, which amazes her with its perfect rice. During dinner, she's delighted that despite the passage of time, people still value good food. When Shozo does the dishes, a task uncommon for men in her era, he explains he learned it because of his domineering father vowing to be different. Ine admires his dedication. That night, Shozo tries to explain the hourglass dreams, but she finds them confusing. He promises she might understand after seeing the hourglass herself. The next morning, Ine sees a younger Shozo, which confuses her further since she still doesn't recognize him. Saddened, Shozo shows her family photos to jog her memory. Ine feels guilty, fearing her memory loss might hurt their family. When their granddaughter Mino visits, Shozo asks Ine to pretend she remembers everything. Despite her uncertainty, Ine agrees, determined to protect her family's happiness. As the Yoshiaki family arrives, Shozo covers for Ine's unusual accent by joking she's reminiscing about her high school days. Spending time with Mino brings Ine joy, and she hugs her tightly, calling her adorable. During cooking, Ine struggles, having forgotten how to prepare meals. Shozo steps in, guiding her hands to chop vegetables. This gesture stirs a sense of nostalgia in Ine, though her memories remain elusive. Later, Mino jokes about the large potato chunks in the curry, prompting Shozo to buy Ine a vegetable peeler which she uses enthusiastically. One evening, Yoshiaki confides in his parents that his company might go bankrupt. Shozo offers him work at the apple orchard, but Yoshiaki hesitates, feeling he shouldn't burden them. Ine reassures him, advising against overworking himself for ungrateful bosses and reminding him he'll always have her support. Touched by her words, Yoshiaki notices Ine seems more like the mother from his childhood. Shozo takes Ine to the spot where she once confessed her love, hoping to trigger her memory. Despite his efforts, she recalls nothing, leaving her frustrated. At a hospital, Ine sees her elderly sister, sparking a flashback of their bond. When her sister doesn't recognize her, Ine feels the cruelty of time. Encouraged by a memory, Ine plays a song her sister taught her on the piano. The melody rekindles her sister's memory, and they play together, bringing tears to Ine's eyes. Weeks later, while dining alone, Ine reflects on Shozo's patience and their shared moments. Slowly, her memories return, including her confession of love and Shozo's unwavering support through her illness. When Shozo comes home, Ine joyfully greets him, her memories and love fully restored, with even her hair returning to its original state. The next day at the shrine, Ine asks Shozo how he stays so calm. Shozo lovingly explains that he loves her the same, with or without her memories. Blushing Ine places her hand on his, feeling happy and cherished. Excited for their honeymoon in Tokyo, they plan to take a sleeper train and enjoy games and drinks. However, Shota surprises them by explaining that sleeper trains are gone, and now bullet trains make the trip in just 3 hours. This shocks Ine and Shozo, who recall when the journey took 8 hours. Shota worries if he's fit to plan their trip, but Mino reassures him and Shozo eagerly suggests Shota guide them. Flustered Shota tries to avoid the task, but Shozo, ever the wingman, whispers that a trip with Mino could be romantic. Shota asks his grandfather Igarashi for permission to join. Initially hesitant Igarashi quickly agrees when Mino asks politely, mistakenly assuming she's Shota's bride. Embarrassed Shota and Mino blush, but accept. Meanwhile Ine helps an old friend struggling sweet potato shop by eating one outside, attracting curious passers-by with her youthful charm. As they prepare to leave, Yoshiaki sternly reminds Shota to take good care of Mino, making him nervous. Shozo and Ine, thrilled for their adventure, accidentally board the wrong train, but Shota and Mino save the day. On board, Shozo and Ine hilariously explain that they made themselves look old again to use senior discounts. After a quick nap they revert to their youthful forms, surprising Shota with how strange it all seems. In Tokyo they visit their eldest daughter Akemi, who is shocked to see her parents, especially since Ine had been too sick to travel. Ine comforts Akemi, who is battling a cold, reminding her of how she cared for her as a child. The family laughs when they notice the striking resemblance between Shozo and Akemi's son Shinji. Shozo bonds with his grandson Kosuke by introducing traditional spinning tops. When Kosuke insists on a Beyblade, Shozo challenges him to a battle. Though Shozo wins using his old man strength, Kosuke's tears prompt him to buy the new toy anyway. While Shota and Mino explore Shinjuku, Shozo and Ine visit Sugamo, a hotspot for older crowds. Shozo's enthusiasm over a belly band shop leads to an impromptu fashion show, attracting admirers. Later Ine gleefully devours an entire parfait at a cafe, her excitement bringing smiles to everyone. At an arcade they take photo booth pictures, laughing at their awkward attempts at posing. Back at Akemi's house she apologizes to Ine for moving to Tokyo and not being there when she was ill. Ine reassures her daughter, expressing her joy at seeing Akemi thrive. Meanwhile at Shozo's house Shiori misses her grandparents, her longing so strong it seems to reach them. On their return trip Shozo and Ine are approached by a talent agent, but they firmly refuse, amusingly revealing their true age. This shocks the agent, who quickly leaves, and the couple laughs about the absurd encounter with Shota. Everyone finally arrives at Atami, a special place for the grandparents. Overwhelmed with emotion, Shozo and Ine realize they were finally on a proper honeymoon. Their first stop was a luxurious Japanese hotel with an open-air bath. As Ine and Mino headed for a bath, Ine whispered to Shozo not to fall asleep early, hinting they could enjoy the large tub together once the kids were asleep. This thought kept Shozo excited during his bath time. At lunch the lavish spread felt like a rare treat. Ine poured Shozo some drink, while Shota felt guilty thinking he was preventing the couple from enjoying their honeymoon properly. Mino reassured him, saying she wouldn't have come to Tokyo alone, and Ine thanked him for ensuring their smooth arrival. Shozo suggested a toast and the kids reluctantly sipped their drinks, unaware the ritual symbolized marriage, leaving Ine blushing and the kids confused. Later Mino shared Shota's sentiment about letting Shozo and Ine have their time and ended up rooming with Shota. She joked about how the grandparents must be cuddling, though Ine was disappointed to find Shozo fast asleep. In her room Mino made an odd request. She asked Shota to call her grandma to understand how Ine might feel. Shota humored her, but when he accidentally used her name Mino blushed and ended the game. Meanwhile Shozo dreamed of enjoying the open-air bath with Ine, only to wake up the next day back in his elderly form, surprising Ine as it was beach day. At the beach Ine's beauty turned heads, especially with Shozo now burly and muscular by her side. Shozo challenged Shota to a swimming race, teasing him that losing meant he could never win over Mino. Despite Shota's best effort Shozo won, impressing the crowd. Under the shade Shozo asked Ine to wear the bikini he'd bought her, but she stuck to her black swimsuit, thinking a bikini at her age was improper. Shozo lamented that he wanted someone to admire him too, and Ine reassured him that while they couldn't visit the beach in the past, she was happy they could now travel as a couple. Later she revealed she had worn the bikini underneath but felt too embarrassed to show it. Meanwhile, Mino researched the toast Shozo had made them do and realized it was part of a wedding ceremony. This left her flustered around Shota. They tried playing ping pong but struggled until the grandparents joined, impressing everyone with their skill. That night under the stars, the grandparents relaxed in the tub, laughing at the thought of their elderly forms floating in the bath. They wished for more time to enjoy the life they had missed. At a temple, Shozo secretly wrote a wish on a tablet, that in his next life he wants to marry grandma again. Ine discovered it, touched to see it matched her own wish. They walked around a legendary tree said to grant wishes and extend life, envisioning a future with great-grandchildren. Mino, thinking of Shota's dreams and her unclear future, kissed him on the forehead while he slept, secretly flustered. Reflecting on the past, Ine thanked Shozo for keeping his promise of a honeymoon even after so many years. A boy named Satoshi is in the library searching for his card when Shirori finds it under a table and hands it to him. She notices he's holding a book about legends of becoming young again. They sit together and Satoshi explains there are stories about old people becoming young every few centuries, which sparked his interest. Shirori shares that she's studying medicine to become a doctor like her father, partly to cure her grandmother's illness, though she's too shy to tell her. Unbeknownst to her, Shozo is nearby, overhearing and crying tears of joy. Later, when Shirori returns home, her grandparents embrace her tightly, leaving her surprised by their emotional reaction. Meanwhile, Yoshiaki complains to his parents about Mino's late nights and strange behavior. The grandparents suspect Shota might be the reason but reassure Yoshiaki that Mino is fine. Ine reminds him he was far more of a troublemaker at her age, which calms him down. Later, while working on the farm, two kids ask about the elderly couple who used to work there. Panicked Ine and Shozo lie, saying the couple is unwell. But later that night, Ine turns the hourglass in her dream, and they return to their elderly forms to ease the kids' worries. The next day, when Mino forgets her lunchbox, Ine pedals her bike at high speed to catch Mino's train. Mino's friends are amazed, making Ine famous among them. Meanwhile, Satoshi and Shirori study together. Shirori notices Satoshi's speech patterns resemble an older person's, which he says he picked up from his grandmother. When Shirori blushes at the mention of calm people like Shozo, she quickly changes the topic. Satoshi explains he's researching youth legends because his grandparents became young again. He takes Shirori to meet them, and Hajime and Setsu recount how eating a golden apple in their garden transformed them. Inspired by her bond with her grandparents, Shirori invites Hajime and Setsu to meet Ine and Shozo. The grandparents bond over their shared experiences, laughing and reminiscing. While the elders chat, Shirori and Satoshi reflect on their grandparents. Shirori wonders if they'll be as entertaining in their old age but quickly backtracks, flustered. Later, Setsu shares how Hajime saved her from trouble at the inn where she worked, declaring him the best husband. Not to be outdone, Ine insists Shozo is better for his thoughtfulness. This sparks a playful competition to prove which husband is best. The first round, a tug-of-war, ends in Hajime's win when Ine steps out of bounds to cheer Shozo. In the second round, a tasting challenge, Shozo wins by guessing both dishes were Ine's. In the final round, Matsunosuke declares love can't be measured, and Shozo's heartfelt speech about Ine ends the contest on a warm note. Later, Shirori asks Ine to teach her how to cook. Though Ine suggests traditional dishes, Shirori requests chicken carriage, revealing she plans to study at the library and wants to prepare food. While teaching her, Ine imagines Shirori as an adult married, and feels bittersweet about possibly not being there for her future. At the library, Shirori shyly shares the carriage with Satoshi, secretly cooking it just for him. That night, Ine and Shozo watch a horror movie together. Shozo finds the special effects amusing and chuckles at the idea of ghosts coming out of TVs, while Ine nervously prays with her beads and even places salt near the TV, hilariously insisting she's not scared. When it's time to sleep, Shozo quickly drifts off, but Ine struggles, seeing ghostly shapes in the wooden ceiling. Unable to calm herself, she moves closer, lying in Shozo's arms for comfort, finally falling asleep. The next morning, Shozo wakes with a numb arm, though Ine denies knowing why. Later, Mino notices her grandparents planting a young apple tree gifted by Hajime. They explain it's complicated to care for but they couldn't discard it. Inspired, Mino asks for the seedling, promising to care for it. She recalls a conversation about her future and shares her dream of running a farm. Proud of her determination, Shozo and Ine agree. Mino enlists Shota's help, and while planting, she imagines the apple tree lasting until their grandparents. Shota expresses uncertainty about his future but asks if he can return one day. Mino confidently says she'll wait. Spying on them, Shozo and Ine start planning a celebration as if they're already married. A summer festival approaches and Mino borrows a yukata for Ine. When Shozo sees her in it, he's amazed. At the festival, Ine initially feels lonely, thinking Shozo will stay late drinking, but he surprises her by joining her. Seeing a couple sharing sweets, Shozo offers Ine a strawberry treat which she happily accepts. Later they team up in a shooting game to win a stuffed bear that reminds Ine of Shozo. Shozo's hunting club experience helps them succeed, impressing onlookers. During a nap, Ine dreams of an hourglass and a voice warning she has only 7 days to live. She wakes pale and confides in Shozo, who reveals he had a similar dream foretelling he wouldn't last the year. Ine admits she feels blessed despite her illness, while Shozo wishes for a miracle. Suddenly a divine glow envelopes them. A voice of Takagami, the shrine deity, appears and offers to fulfill Shozo's wish in gratitude for their care of the sacred place. Though she can't create life or extend time, Shozo offers half his lifespan to Ine. When she awakens, Shozo reassures her it was just 15 minutes. Ine shares that her hourglass mysteriously gained more sand, and they agree never to discuss their lifespans again, choosing to live without counting the days. During the fireworks they cherish every moment together. Meanwhile, Satoshi tells Shiori a story about a couple who sacrificed everything for their village, leading to the shrine's golden fruit legend. Shiori, annoyed by the history lesson, plans to leave, but Satoshi catches up and apologizes with chocolate bananas. She accepts, reflecting on wanting a happy couple's life like her grandparents. A week later, Ine realizes she's still alive, and cries, confessing her fear of leaving Shozo alone. He hugs her, affirming their decision to live fully no matter what tomorrow brings. With Halloween approaching, Mino asks Shozo and Ine about their costumes. Shozo dismisses the idea as childish but reluctantly agrees since Shota is joining them. On Halloween day, Mino dresses as a witch and Shota as a bear, eager to outshine her grandparents. However, when the door opens, 2 terrifying creatures greet them and Mino faints from the shock. That night, 2 men in a golden sports car drive through Shozo's farm, discussing the rumored Demon K truck that defeated biker gangs in races. They scoff at the idea until Shozo, who's patrolling in his K truck, notices them littering and gives chase. Despite the driver's attempts to outrun him, Shozo expertly drifts around corners, stunning the men. A flashback reveals Shozo's friend Tetsuji upgraded the truck's engine, blending farm utility with racing power. Shozo overtakes the sports car with ease, leaving the men vowing never to return. Later, Ine sees news reports about the Demon K truck, but Shozo feigns ignorance. Meanwhile, Matsunosuke teaches air gun skills to locals for crop protection, but the women flock to Shozo instead, surprising everyone with their newfound shooting accuracy. Later, Rain forces Mino and Shota to take shelter at a shrine. Shota gives Mino his jacket and she appreciates the gesture. A lightning strike startles Mino and she grabs onto Shota. While waiting out the storm, they see ghostly images of Shozo and Ine. The apparitions discuss their parents rejecting their relationship, and Ine humorously initiates a spicy moment with Shozo, prompting Mino to shield her eyes. When the rain stops, they return home. Mino asks Ine about the shrine, and Ine recalls meeting Shozo there often. She wonders if Shozo mentioned their past spicy moment, but Shozo remains clueless. After a shower, Mino sits awkwardly with Shota, reflecting on Ine's advice to live freely and follow her desires. She thanks Shota for comforting her during the storm, leaning on his shoulder to say something, but stops when she hears Shozo and Ine sneaking around to eavesdrop. Mino hilariously shuts the door on their excuse about practicing ninja moves. The next day, Ine rides the local train. Saddened by the driver's comment that trains are fading as cars take over, she invites friends to ride the train, lifting the driver's spirits. Later, during a blizzard, Shozo encounters a traffic jam and uses his decades of snowy road experience to guide vehicles safely to town, making Ine proud of her reliable husband. Back at home, Ine breaks ice outside, sweating from the effort. She removes a few layers, radiating energy as she works. When Shozo returns, he blushes at the sight of Ine, appreciating her beauty and vitality even in the cold. A few days before New Year's Eve, Yoshiaki and his wife visit to help with mochi making. Feeling nostalgic, Yoshiaki takes on heavy lifting despite warnings from his wife. Shozo steps in, subtly suggesting he leave the hard work to the more capable, embarrassing Yoshiaki when he sees Shozo and Ine handling tasks effortlessly. Later, Shozo impresses Mino by building a giant snowman and then a snow bear. When he learns Kosuke's favorite character is the Black Phoenix Dragon, Shozo spends hours creating a massive snow dragon, delighting the children when they arrive. On New Year's Eve, family members gather, including Ine's sister Tsuru and the Takahiro family. Kosuke invites Shirori and Mino to play Kiruda, and Tsuru surprises everyone by joining, showcasing incredible speed that leaves the kids in awe. After the New Year's feast, Kosuke massages his grandparents' shoulders, shocking his father with his sudden helpfulness. However, when Shozo gives Shirori cash as a New Year's gift, Kosuke's attempt to get the same ends with a gift card instead, amusing everyone. The evening unfolds with the kids engrossed in video games, men sipping drinks, and women in a heartfelt gathering. Kaoru confides about her strictness with Shirori, and Ine advises kindness during tough times, reassuring Kaoru of her daughter's understanding. Kaide, who's a nurse, seeks guidance about handling a rude patient, and Ine's advice brings her to tears. Ine reminds everyone that mothers don't always have to be strong and can cry too, sparking a heartfelt group hug. Shozo walks in bewildered to see the women in tears around Ine. The next morning, Shozo and Ine respond to 400 New Year cards from grateful townsfolk, feeling like local celebrities. When the family departs, Kosuke clings to Shozo, refusing to leave. Ine gives him a teddy bear as comfort, and Shozo pinky promises they'll meet again soon. However, after Kosuke leaves, Shozo breaks down in tears, missing him already. Life returns to normal as Mino and Shota help at the orchard. Shozo praises Shota's quick learning, joking about when the young couple will marry. Meanwhile, Ine teases Mino about wanting to spend time with Shota, and Mino blushes when Shota calls her by her first name in front of the grandparents. As the two work together, Shozo and Ine watch proudly, reminiscing about their family's journey. They reflect on Shiori's efforts to enter medical school, Akemi's children finding their own paths, and Yoshiaki's excitement about his new job. Ine declares her wish has already come true, and Shozo agrees. As they rest under a tree holding hands, their hourglass runs out and memories of their precious life flash by. 50 years later, an elderly Shota and Mino admire the apple tree they planted, now bearing a golden apple. They debate whether to place it on the altar or eat it, cherishing the legacy left by Shozo and Ine.